with our counselor chats. Thank you. What we're trying to do with our counselor chats is to provide a space in which we can provide different updates. Every month, there's a workshop on a different item. Even feel free to share this with anyone at your school sites as the topics do vary. And if others want to participate, they are more than welcome to participate as well. First, I just also want to go ahead and acknowledge my wonderful team that's on here today. And ask them to go ahead and introduce themselves. But first, I realized I didn't formally introduce myself. My name is Dr. Malva Castro. I'm the Dean of Student Success, and just happy that we have the opportunity to still continue our work with our wonderful partners. Myra, if you can introduce yourself.
Good morning, everyone. I'm happy to see all of you are here. I currently service Los Santos High School, La Serna High School, Santa Fe High School, Sher High School, and El Monte High School. So thank you all for jumping on.
Thank you. David?
Good morning, everyone. My name is David. I service Whittier High School, Cal High School, Montebello High School, and Ellen Ochoa Prep Academy. Also in the chat, I did put a sign in. So if you could please sign in so we know who's attended. Thank you, and thank you.
Great, thank you. Brian?
Hello, everyone. My name is Brian. I'm a Rio Hondo representative as well. I service, let's see if I can remember every single school because I have 9 schools. So hopefully I don't miss on anyone. Alhambra, Downing High School, San Gabriel, William Workman, Glen A. Wilson, Pioneer, Frontier, Sierra Vista, and Sierra Vista Bolton Park. And so welcome, guys. I hope you guys enjoy this presentation. If you guys have any questions, please let us know and we'll answer any questions.
All right, thank you. And now it is my pleasure to go ahead and introduce our fabulous Director of DSPS, Connie Gutierrez.
Thank you, Dr. Castro, and thank you to your outreach team. I really do want to take an opportunity to thank Dr. Castro, David, Myra, and Brian, for their support of our department. And I've been at Rio Hondo a little bit over a year and a half now, and really collaborating closely with outreach has definitely made a difference and an impact on the service that we are providing for our new DSPS students who are our recent graduates and joining us here at Rio Hondo College. So thank you very much to Dr. Castro and her team. We have really seen a marked difference and the data to prove that with strategic outreach, our DSPS students are receiving the services that are necessary to them. I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen. I'm happy to see some familiar names from our community partners. I so wish that we could be doing this in person. I know I was able to foster some relationships with some of y'all last year, but unfortunately due to COVID, we find ourselves doing outreach in a online format. But again, my name is Connie Morales Gutierrez. I am the Director of DSPS, Disabled Students Programs and Services here at Rio Hondo. I will be discussing how to best support your students transitioning from high school to college. A few takeaways from today. I am going to share some updates that have occurred in DSPS and why they're important to our outreach efforts, how we're attempting to outreach to our incoming students during the time of COVID, some suggested conversations to start having now with the students on your campus and prepare them to get ready for this transition, and how to support students to join DSPS after they apply to Rio Hondo College, and just to touch briefly on some services available to your students when they attend Rio Hondo College. So some important program updates for DSPS. We definitely have experienced growth in students joining DSPS, and we do think it is a result of direct and intentional outreach to our community partners and to our students who are in SELPA programs or have an IEP or a 504 plan at your local high schools. Engaging in intentional outreach to them and working with our community partners has absolutely impacted our students joining our program early on, getting priority registration, and helping them seamlessly join the college and have a clear idea of what they are expected to do once they join DSPS and start enrolling in courses here at Rio Hondo College. I do want to thank our community partners that have worked with me. I know Ms. Jocelyn is on. We've had vocational techs at Lucerna, Miss Rachel at Pioneer High School. They were all amazing in helping onboard their students and make that transition seamless. We currently have one full-time counselor in DSPS and one hourly counselor who's currently working 6 hours a week. Due to layoffs and budget cuts from the Chancellor's office, we are doing more with less, like a lot of departments on our campus. We currently are not offering learning disability testing. The Chancellor's office has put that on hold because testing cannot be done in person. So when we do have students who have transitioned to us, but their parents might be interested in exploring more detailed learning disability testing, that currently is not available. We have noticed an uptick in high-tech accommodations, which has been amazing. It's a nice way for our students to start learning and supporting their learning styles, and it helps empower them to have more control over how they learn in the classrooms. Through the interactive process when they meet with a counselor, we can offer them a variety of softwares and tools that we do have here in a DSPS. A lot of our students have started to take the opportunity to incorporate high-tech technology into their learning styles and as part of their accommodations plan. Our training and accommodations for high-tech technology has actually gone up 50% in the past semester. So we are excited to be able to support our students in that way. We are currently enrolling for spring semester now because the current class who entered last fall, they had to end their high school career in a remote environment and then transition to college in a remote environment. We all did the best we could, and we had some amazing events over last summer to help connect them to services. Some of our students, despite all of the support and outreach, have had difficulty during the fall semester, simply because, learning in a remote environment may not have been the best environment for them. So we're noticing for the spring semester, some of our students are dropping their course loads, which is fine. We are encouraging our students stay connected to our campus, stay enrolled, even if it's just 1 or 2 classes. We want you here. We want you to keep the connection with DSPS and our campus community. So we are encouraging them to enroll, even if it's just in 1 or 2 courses. Another consideration, our students are a little bit concerned that they won't no longer have the excused withdrawal that will be applicable late into the semester. So they do know the courses that they are registering for, they are going to have to try their best and be able to pass with a passing grade. So that's another reason why we are seeing lower enrollments in unit enrollments. Collaborating with Dr. Castro, we are looking at trying to propose a possible summer bridge cohort for our DSPS community. Data shows students who participate in summer bridge do foster stronger connections to campus community and go on to do better in college courses. So why not make that opportunity available to our DSPS students? They deserve the opportunity to participate in all campus programs. So we're working on that. It's still in the beginning stages. We're hoping that we're able to pull it off for this upcoming summer, but any updates will definitely be shared with you all through the outreach program. And if I have your email address, I can also send out emails to you. Really quick, any questions regarding any of those updates? I'm happy to take questions if you do have any. Just let me know. So outreach in the time of COVID, for those community partners that I was able to invite to campus last year, we had started field trips in the fall, and you guys were coming to DSPS, taking a tour of the department, walking around the school, and listening to our presentation given by myself, some of the counselors, and our DSPS staff. We really do love having you guys on campus. But considering we are doing this right now in a remote environment, we're happy to still offer those presentations. They'll be offered remotely, but we can do Zoom rooms. We are breaking them up for some schools that have shortened class times. I know due to remote learning, your day schedules have changed. So one campus that we are currently working with has asked me to break up the presentation into 3 segments. And last week I was able to meet with a couple of classrooms and start part 1 of that presentation. If you do contact me and we discuss how we're going to work with your campus, I'm happy to work around the needs of your class schedules, the courses, and individual counselors or instructors. We do suggest breaking the presentations into 2 or 3 segments because there are certain things we are asking the students to follow through with. And so when I do return remotely, I'm hoping those students have completed the task that was assigned or that they are following through with things that they need to do prior to onboarding with us. We are confirmed to be in a remote learning environment through spring 2021. We don't know what next fall is going to look like. So I do understand that some of your students may be skeptical about attending college in the fall in a remote environment and beginning their college career remotely. But please, by all means, don't let that stop you guys from letting me know if you want a presentation and just connecting with the students early on to let them know that we are here to support them. Most importantly, before students can even join DSPS, they need to complete the steps to enrollment before joining. The outreach team has been amazing with ensuring our students have completed those steps to enrollment and are always able to support you all before to ensure that students have completed those steps prior to them joining DSPS. So I do encourage students in the presentation that I give to them, start having these honest conversations. Have the conversations with your family, your counselors, your instructors. Let them know that you're considering coming to Rio Hondo College or that you're willing, you know, if they know, hey, I want to commit to Rio, that's where I want to go. Ask your counselors for help or ask your instructors for help so that they can contact outreach or myself and we can start the process for them. Students are encouraged to also have conversations with their parents discussing financial aid, how they're going to pay for college, if they are going to have to provide or apply for financial aid, and understanding what's going to be required of them when they do apply for financial aid. So those are conversations to start having now. And for counselors and instructors, we really do suggest having honest conversations with your students if they are in mild, moderate programs, or depending on the level that they are learning at right now, are they ready to tackle college workloads? Students that transfer to Rio Hondo College are expected to be able to perform in college level courses. We do not any longer remediate for math or English, so they are given the opportunity to place into college level math or English courses. Are they ready to do so? We do have some courses that are shared with the students in the presentation for ed development courses that are specific for DSPS students, which help them skill build, but they are not transferable. So while a student who's enrolled in DSPS can enroll in ed development for math or English, they do not earn transfer credit for those courses. Most importantly, students also need to understand the difference between academic support in high school and college. Or do the students understand that? When we give a presentation to your students, we do review that and let them know what their responsibilities are and how academic support will be different in a college environment versus high school. I noticed that someone on here is from the Department of Rehabilitation. I think that's amazing. So we always tell our students, if you're part of Department of Rehab or the Regional Center, please start working with your caseworker now. Let them know that you're going to come to Rio Hondo, start getting your application in so that they can meet with you, set a goal, and have those services in place by the time the semester starts next fall.
And Connie, we have two fabulous questions in the chat. One is dealing with financial aid, which you covered. Wondering if the course load for students in DSPS will affect the California Promise Award, or is that written into the accommodations plan?
Great question. I do discuss that in a future slide, but DSPS students do qualify for Rio Promise. Again, I always approach things incredibly honestly. The list of students that we submitted for Rio Promise was a pretty lengthy list. Out of all of those students, 2 qualified for the Rio Promise. And that's only because all of the other students qualified for direct financial aid. And Dr. Castro might be able to better explain this for me, but the Rio Promise is the last resort payment, correct, Dr. Castro?
Yes, it's last dollar in. However, with the Rio Promise for our students in DSPS, we have made a commitment that students, and it is a reduced unit load. So this is a fabulous question, Belen, because students in DSPS are only required to enroll in 6 units. And regardless of how their tuition is covered, we are making the commitment that their tuition will be covered.
Thank you, Dr. Castro.
And there was one other question. What are the high-tech accommodations offered to students?
High-tech accommodations include software like Kurzweil or Read Write Gold. Those are softwares for students. And again, in the presentation to the students, we review all of this so that students start to become exposed to this information. Read Write Gold, Kurzweil are amazing type of reader software where students can start listening to their writing that they are producing and listening for clarity. We can actually put their books, we call it e-text, in digital formats where students can listen to their textbooks. The way some of our students learn, their comprehension, those types of software support that learning style, and the students have the ability to slow down the readers, highlight text if there's a word in the text that they don't understand. Kurzweil now allows the ability to highlight it and look it up in a dictionary. All of those tools empower the student to develop their learning and study techniques, but also support their learning style. We also have smart pins that our students use in the classroom or virtually right now to take notes on a special notepad. While the student is taking the notes, it's simultaneously recording the lecture or the sound that it's picking up. So most of the time it is the professor's voice. And anywhere on that notepad, that student can go back and hit a button and it goes back to that recorded portion of the lecture. All of those types of softwares are prescribed, if you will, through the accommodation process through either myself or one of the counselors, and all of the training is done by Mark Bennett, who is our high-tech specialist. We do encourage high schools right now, encourage your students to put on the reader in Microsoft or in Google. There's so many high-tech built-in apps and components that students can start using now to support their learning style. It also helps them feel more in control of the information that they are taking in. So before students can even apply to DSPS, we have to make sure that students follow these steps. They have to apply to Rio Hondo College. And I know our outreach team is more than happy to support your students in doing all of this. Encourage them to write down all their email addresses they're using. We did tell students, please don't use your high school emails. Once you graduate, you're not going to have access to those most likely. So make sure you have a Gmail account or another email that you can use to apply. Write down your usernames and passwords. If your students are interested in attending summer school, they do have to fill out a summer application in addition to the fall. And make sure that the student does click that they will be graduated from high school by the time they start those classes. A lot of students sometimes either enter that they click that they're not from California or that they're not going to be graduated, and it usually holds up their application. But again, the outreach team can help with those nuances. Make sure students have completed both the assessment tool and orientation online. This is really important because once they come to see one of our counselors, if those two steps are not completed, it won't allow the counselor to proceed with some of the things they do in a counseling appointment. So that needs to be done, and it needs to be confirmed that they have been completed even before they can join DSPS. That is imperative. Applying for financial aid will also help students meet all of the important requirements to onboarding to Rio Hondo College. And we have to prove that students have completed a FAFSA before we will even add them on our DSPS list for the Rio Promise. As Dr. Castro stated, students must be enrolled in a minimum of 6 units, and that is an accommodation that the counselor does give to the student. But a student must be able to demonstrate, and we just look at the email saying your FAFSA has been received, and then we'll put them on the list for possible qualification for the Rio Promise. Now, roles and responsibilities of the institutions that the students are at currently. When helping a student apply for DSPS, they need to secure their verification of disability. Coming from a high school environment, most of the time that's going to mean that the student has an IEP, a psych evaluation, or a 504 plan. Please work with your students and provide them with a PDF copy of their junior year IEP or 504 plan. And if they have a psych evaluation, please provide them a PDF copy of that psychological evaluation as well. And the reason why we ask for a junior year IEP is because we still have more information in that. By the time the IEP or the wrap up is done in a senior year, that document that may have been 40 pages has now become 15. And there's a lot of historical information that's been omitted. The more information that you can provide myself or one of our counselors helps us to have a more honest and clearer conversation with your students when they're onboarding to DSPS and truly get a better idea of how we can support your students academically. Students who may have been in dual enrollment courses, taking college level courses while they're in high school, if they have received support from DSPS, they do not have to register with us again. Chances are we already have a file for them, so they just need to contact us and confirm that we have their file and that it is still active. If it has become dormant because they have not taken a dual enrollment course in a semester or two, that case can easily be reactivated and they can be eligible for accommodations again. Once the student has their VOD, or if you are going to be assisting them, and a VOD is verification of disability, it needs to be emailed to our department email box, which is monitored multiple times during the day, dsps@riohondo.edu. The student needs to include their name, the Rio Hondo ID number, and phone number. Please do not omit the Rio Hondo ID number because that is how we confirm that the student has completed their steps to enrollment. They have a current application on file, they've completed their orientation online, and the assessment tool. If any of that information is missing, we let the student know what they're missing, and then they need to contact us again once that is done. DSPS will review all of the documents and contact the student to set up an appointment. And again, all of the steps to enrollment that we covered earlier need to be completed. Once they meet with a counselor or myself to do the intake and orientation to DSPS, we just review our policies and protocols, the responsibility of the student while they're a student here at Rio Hondo College and receiving services from DSPS. And this is the time where we're going to have the honest interactive process, we call it, where we talk to the students about where do they struggle, what might be their fears in regards to taking math or English or classes that have a lot of writing. And this is where we start to build their accommodation plan, and we really get an idea of the tools that the student has at home, what type of resources and supplemental support will they need. And this is also where we ask if they're part of the regional center or Department of Rehabilitation, because we also have interaction with their caseworkers and help support them with any documents or forms that they may need filled out. An educational plan will then be created with courses that will be recommended for your students for fall. Many of our students, because they are new and because they're coming from high school, usually think that the educational plan is their class schedule. And oftentimes will say like, oh, I saw the counselor have my classes. They have to understand, and I do cover this in our presentation to students, that Ed Plan is only your recommended courses. You still have to look at our class schedule and build a schedule for yourself. Any questions about applying to DSPS? Anything in the chat, Dr. Castro?
No, we're good. And also, in addition to the IEP Psych Eval 504, can you also talk about individuals who may need accommodations due to medical conditions?
Absolutely. If you do know a student on campus who does not have an IEP or a 504, but has a qualifying health ailment or a disability, they can apply and receive services from DSPS. Mind you, their accommodations may look differently, but they are welcome to join our department. And that does need to be documented via a psychiatrist, psychologist, or a medical doctor with the diagnosis code on a written document of what the student has. Mind you, autoimmune disorders qualify students. Diabetes, where a student is taking medication and requires medical care, is a qualifying disability in our program. Physical disabilities are also part of our program, and we do accommodate for any of those. So it does need to be an official document with a diagnosis code and show documented history that the student is being treated for this. So additional support from Rio Hondo College. We seek to empower our students to let them know that before being a student in our program, they are a student first. So we encourage them to join clubs, join other service programs. We want them to have the college experience that other students have. And our office, while we're here to support them and their learning styles and their needs, we're not the only one-stop shop for them. They should, foster relationships with others on campus, join EOPS, which can provide textbook help for our students who qualify for financial aid. EOPS is one of our amazing campus partners. They do have a requirement that students need to be enrolled full-time. However, as accommodations, students can join EOPS with a minimum course load. So that is worked out with our counselors as well. It's an amazing program for our students. We've got TRIO, we've got Legacy Scholars for our young men. We're really trying to focus on the success of our young men who come to Rio Hondo College. Their rates of completion are a little bit lower than our female students. So we're trying to be intentional with the support that we would provide our young men here on campus. And Legacy Scholars is one of those program services here. Our students who are dreamers, we have a Dreamers Center and program services for them, and Rise Scholars for our students who may have been, who have had family members who have been incarcerated or have been system impacted in some way. It's a great program that also serves students that have been impacted maybe directly or indirectly. So we seek to connect our students to all of these programs, and we acknowledge and honor the intersectionality that many of our students do bring to the college experience, being first generation, perhaps being system impacted, or being a dreamer. So we want to ensure our students are supported for every aspect of their identity. If you are interested in doing group onboarding efforts, that can definitely be coordinated through DSPS. If you want to start the outreach process and presentations, please let me know. I do have my email at the end of this presentation, and this will be sent to you all. Please do not email our counselors directly for outreach efforts. Again, we have one full-time counselor and one hourly counselor. They do not have the time to coordinate outreach efforts themselves, so we are working it directly through myself. So please contact me if you would like to coordinate any sort of outreach efforts for students on your campus, please. Any questions about anything?
We had a question in the chat as, do you have DSPS presentations scheduled for students?
They need to let me know. I mean, if you need a presentation to your high school, please let me know. I'm happy to work you guys into our schedule. I've already started 2 with one of our community partners in the Montebello School District. So if you guys have time for me to come and visit your classrooms, I'm more than happy to do that, but it needs to be coordinated through me. You can email me here, cgutierrez@riohondo.edu. I know Miss Jocelyn's on here. I went to her school last year and it was amazing. And we actually prefer to do intakes and orientations in person, but because of COVID, we're not able to do that. So we are asking our counselors and instructors and vocational techs to have all of the information available for your students in PDF format so that they can easily email it to us, please. Any other questions?
So there's a question in here that might be a combo between you and I, Connie. So the question is, will counselors be available through the application process, FAFSA? This can be overwhelming experience for students completing the applications. We have staff who are available for the applications. We also host a weekly application workshop in which students can enroll. We've shared this information with your school sites. Depending on the school site structure and what has been requested, with some of the schools have requested specific either educational planning workshops or things that are custom to the school, which we've done. If there's further need for anything else, we're happy to support. With regard to FAFSA, we have been supporting the different events at the school sites that we have been invited to, and this is a partnership also with our financial aid office. Also, after the holidays, we will start to roll out our Cash for College events as well.
Thank you, Dr. Castro. We personally do not host registration workshops. That is done through outreach. And we also do not offer financial aid workshops for us to walk students through the FAFSA. Our DSPS staff are not financial aid experts. So we do refrain from giving out that type of advice. So we do collaborate with our partners here on campus who do work in those areas. That's why I am stressing all of that needs to be done prior to students joining DSPS. And we do verify that. If a student has not completed all of those steps, they cannot join our program yet.
And
Can you
again, for these different items, whether it's a DSPS presentation or support for your students, application workshops, or anything that we can do to help your students, we are happy to go ahead and work in partnership and provide these both in a custom format for your students, but we also have some that are already pre-scheduled.
can you explain like the importance of like students joining DSPS like while in high school before they go into college? Because if I'm not mistaken, it's in high school it's a right, but in college it's optional. Is that correct?
It is absolutely correct. And they are two completely separate entities. This is covered in the student presentation because it's information that they need to be aware of. And I tell them all of the time, in K through 12, it is a legal mandate that the institutions that they are learning at accommodate them, create courses for them. They're able to modify curriculum at the college level. That absolutely will not happen. They need to be college ready, able to take college coursework, pass the coursework, and we do not modify curriculum. That means if students are currently in high school able to turn in their work a week late or 2 weeks late and getting those extensions, that's not going to happen here. We do grant test accommodations, but it's either test time and a half or double time. It is based on their disability and the historical accommodations that they have received. So accommodations are drastically different. So it's the high school accommodation process and college are very different, David. It's not like they can um, enroll in DSPS while they're still in high school.
And Connie, just an add-on, can you just tell us about maybe the difference in the student experience from a student who does this while in high school versus a student who finds you maybe in the fall?
Absolutely. Again, I go back to our experience that we were able to have pre-COVID with Pioneer High School, with Miss Jocelyn's students over at, I think it's, I forget what district. Gabrielino. Going to their campuses and meeting with their students early on, giving the presentations, being able to onboard a student early, make their appointments with counselors, and guarantee that they were able to register at the first date for priority registration for fall really helped the students. Miss Jocelyn, have you kept in touch with any of your students who were able to enroll and are here now? I mean, I'd love to hear if you have anything to share. I can think of one student right now who's from your high school that is still enrolled in courses, receiving accommodations, and he's doing very well. And so the earlier we can begin this and breaking it up into chunks that the students can accomplish little by little definitely helps them out. Time is of the essence though, starting next semester, we want to make sure if they are committed to Rio, they're starting to apply, getting those FAFSAs in and completing those steps to enrollment so that we can work with them. And again, erring on a side of full honesty, I am a bit worried because we have one full-time counselor. So how we're going to do that, I think I have been doing a lot of the intakes and accommodations in group settings and then meeting with students one-on-one to discuss accommodations. And then we're making appointments with our counselor so she can do the ed plan portion because I do not do ed plans.
Great, thank you. And then Jocelyn did add something in the comment and said it was a great experience for our students. Thank you.
Thank you.
And there's another question in here. Are DSPS students able to attend one-on-one or group Zoom sessions that will work with them through the first registration process?
Well, for registration for Rio Hondo themselves, I know Outreach would be happy to facilitate, a registration workshop. But for joining DSPS, it depends on your school. If you want to do an orientation and intake in a group setting, we can do that. But the ed plans and the accommodations need to be done one-on-one.
And
That
And
can,
the other portion of that question really deals with the registration process. Our Student Success and Dream Center does host registration workshops and registration labs to go ahead and help students out through that process. Once registration happens in fall, which for us, our fall registration is in April, we are helping students throughout, and we'll start to share out exactly the communication plan that we have set up as we approach. Last year, I'll go ahead and just share some of the things that we had available to students. Because we do have Rio Hondo outreach representatives working with each of the different schools, and we do have their contact information based off of the application data. We are sending students emails, text messages, phone calls, to go ahead and be proactive and reaching out to them before they reach out to us. When students do reach out to us, they can reach out via phone. We also have a chat feature on our websites, and we do go ahead and communicate with the students. And once they go ahead and do reach out with the type of support, we triage between is this something that a staff member can go ahead and help and support with, or do they need to meet with a counselor? And we support them in going ahead and meeting with the appropriate individual so they have guidance on registration and so forth.
one nice thing that we were able to offer this semester and students enjoyed were drop-in Zoom rooms for students who, once they have met with a counselor and have an ed plan, and they're still having difficulties or aren't sure how to navigate the campus schedule online, we had drop-in Zoom sessions where students can come bring their ed plan, and we would help them, navigate the college schedule. We would put students in different breakout rooms with different staff from DSPS. So we would do those a couple of times throughout the week, one morning session, one afternoon session. And our students did seem to enjoy it, so that once they were ready to register and they knew when their registration date was, a lot of them already had their courses in their cart. So once registration became available, they just logged in, entered enroll, and everything was already there for them. So that has definitely helped.
And one thing that we will be doing this year as well to prepare for our direct matrix, who this will be their first time registering, is before registration, we will be sending out, for everyone who's ready to register by April, we will be mailing out welcome packets to our new students, and they'll have, just a welcome letter in there, information about registration, and upcoming events and so forth. And again, so that we're also complementing the support that we have online with also the support that we are able to go ahead and get physically into the hands of students.
That's awesome. It's exciting. Any other questions?
There was one question, can we have a copy of the presentation? We are happy to go ahead and email this out to all those who participated today.
My contact info is on there, so please email me. That would be great. And all student information must be sent to the DSPS mailbox, please.
So overall, just on behalf of Rio Hondo College, just want to let you know that, of course, all of your students, we are happy to support them in transitioning to Rio. We have, for the students who you have who are qualifying for DSPS, we want to make sure that the students are onboarded directly into DSPS, because those accommodations are important. Also, the students who already are ready for DSPS have an earlier registration date than even Rio promised. And every semester they will have an earlier they have the earliest registration date on campus. And that is something that as they maintain their status in DSPS, they will continue to hold. until they have completed their educational goals with us.
Absolutely. And it definitely is a benefit to them.
Yes. And so again, feel free to reach out to Connie. She's great, amazing, supportive, wants to work with your students, and would love to work with your students early on. And again, thank you so much, everyone, for participating today.
Thank you for having me, Dr. Castro, and thank you again to you and your team. Thank you,
All
everyone.
right. Thank you. And our session has ended. So again, thank you.
Bye-bye.